Comic book creations are apparently always two of a kind. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we'll be counting down the top 10 DC and Marvel comic book copycats. Just to clarify, we'll be pointing fingers at superheroes as well as supervillains who share much in common despite being from separate universes. We're also giving priority to higher profile characters over the extremely niche ones that no one takes seriously. Number 10, Justice League, The Avengers. Before we get down to specific characters, we thought we'd kick off our list by shining a light on the two major comic book teams. Justice League was the first to debut in 1960, featuring DC's all-star lineup. Marvel's team arrived 3 years later with its own heavy hitters. Both teams regularly update their roster while defending Earth from enemies too powerful for any one hero to face alone. Number 9, Batman, Iron Man. Don't see the connection? Well, how about the fact that both heroes are multi-millionaire playboys with no powers that use their vast resources to design their own suits, weaponry, and gadgets. Batman arrived in 1939, before Tony Stark arrived in 1963. To Tony's credit, he doesn't care for hiding his true identity, and also brings brains to his superhero team.
Big man in a suit of armor. Take that off, what are you?
Genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist.
Number 8, Robin, Bucky Barnes. The two most famous sidekicks, it's hard not to draw a comparison, especially since these two young lads made their debut 1 year apart. The loyal allies of Batman and Captain America, respectively, both proved to be effective in the field. Interestingly, they each individually had a falling out with their mentors, taking on new, darker superhero identities.
Bucky, you know I can't just let you walk out of here.
When were you ever able to stop me from doing something I wanted to do?
Number 7, The Flash, Quicksilver. Okay, now we're getting to the copycats that copy from their predecessors with gusto. While DC's Flash was the product of a lab accident that allowed him to zip around at unmatchable speeds in 1940, Marvel's Son of Magneto arrived with remarkably similar talents in 1964's X-Men comics. Sure, their color palette is unique, but they're both essentially blazing speedsters who ultimately ran for good. Number 6, Brainiac, Ultron. These two advanced robot supervillains are calculating foes of Superman and the Avengers exclusively. Both artificial intelligences, Brainiac arrived in 1968, before being followed up a decade later by the constantly upgraded Ultron. Interestingly, Brainiac never really became a threat on the scale of the adamantium-covered Ultron, despite an all-new robotic look and a streak of ruthlessness in the 1980s.
All that remains of the old Brainiac is my programmed hatred for the Super Friends and my desire for their capture.
Number 5, Darkseid, Thanos. Here they are, the two incredibly powered, supervillain alien demigods who both seek galactic domination. DC's anti-life equation-seeking Darkseid first appeared in 1970, before the power gauntlet-wearing Thanos followed suit 3 years later. Both are known for being morbid behemoths of incredible power that scour the cosmos for the means to achieve their goals.
To challenge them is to court death.
Number 4, Deathstroke, Deadpool. It's Slade Wilson versus Wade Wilson, and both work as mercenaries who are both villains and somewhat anti-heroes. Need we say more? DC's Deathstroke the Terminator arrived first, in 1980 as a soldier injected with super serum. When Deadpool came along years later, he bared so many similarities to Deathstroke that his writers decided to acknowledge that fact and make him a sort of parody. Also an ex-soldier, he's differentiated himself by being a wisecracking and unstable mutant with a penchant for breaking the fourth wall.
And nothing better get my way.
What, like the dozen swords in your back?
I don't have swords in my...
Yuck, gonna go hurl now.
That's gonna leave a mark. Oh wait, no it isn't! I have a healing factor! Yay me!
Number 3, Clayface, Sandman. What are the odds that DC and Marvel would share shapeshifters made out of dirt? Arriving in 1940, DC's Clayface only gained shapeshifting ability in his second incarnation in 1961. before Sandman arrived 3 years later. Both criminals, they each use their powers to pull heists while working with other supervillains to cause Batman and Spider-Man similar grief. Number 2, Killer Croc, the Lizard. Here we go again. In this unique circumstance, Marvel's Spider-Man series was the first to the punch in 1963 with a 20-year lead. Its Lizard was once a scientist trying to grow back his arm, only to transform and become hell-bent on reptile supremacy. Batman's Killer Croc transformed from carnival freak show to full-on flesh-hungry creature, likewise living in the sewer. While both started out with more human features, both have similarly evolved into larger, more dinosaur-esque monsters. Number 1, Green Arrow, Hawkeye. Taking the top spot on our list are the two archers who make exclusive use of antiquated bows, albeit with enhancements and trick arrows. DC's Green Arrow first arrived in 1941, before Marvel's answer arrived in 1964. Both are heroic members of the superhero teams from their respective universes. The distinguishing difference is that Green Arrow draws direct inspiration from Robin Hood, with a little Batman thrown in for good measure. Which comic book copycat do you find the most mind-bogglingly similar? For more page-turning top 10s published every day, be sure to subscribe to WatchMojo.com.
Just wait until next time, Superfans.
He's escaping!